Go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. My guest today, Mark Ross from ScriptUni. Mark, welcome finally to the pod.
It's been a while.
It's been 5 or 6 seasons. I've been counting. But apparently they say that good things are worth waiting for. Let's see how it goes. How long in finance has it been for you? How long have you been in finance?
Yeah, so I joined in 2013. That's when I joined Morgan Stanley. I joined into the back office. I started my master's in financial engineering program in 2011.
So it's about a decade. It's a long time.
About a decade.
It's a long time. Would you say it's easier for people coming into finance now, like with the technology, with sort of the education and the resources, than it maybe was back then? And like, why?
In a sense, yes. In a sense, no. I think students in particular who join knowing exactly what they want to do are going to have a way easier time, and they're going to skill up a lot faster, and they're just going to be way more prepared. Unfortunately, I think the universities are so bad at helping students pick their careers and jobs. And what inevitably ends up happening is students panic. They start talking to people, lots of people, and everyone gives them different advice. And they start targeting many different types of roles. And because there's so much availability online, they consume way too much information and they just start looking like a mess.
So we could actually start arguing that currently it's supposed to be easier to go into finance, but it could be actually harder than it was back then.
I can tell you, as a career coach,
yes,
with hundreds of people who I help every year, the people who sign up for my program are looking progressively worse in terms of their application. They're all over the place. They're not sure what they want to do, and it shows in their interview skills, on their resume.
What is some of the things that you're seeing lacking?
It's not as much lacking as too much inclusion. For example, if somebody's interested in working in investment banking, 10 years ago, a lot of those resumes would have just focused on the accounting skills and the write-up skills, the company valuations, exactly what they should be.
Yes.
But now I'll see a resume that has all those skills, and then it also mentions 3 or 4 different programming skills. And then it also talks about risk management in a different bullet. And that's just because they're consuming too much information and hearing risk management is so big in Wall Street. So they write a whole blurb about risk. And when an investment banker reads that resume, they'll be like, who is this person? It doesn't make any sense.
Then you sort of trying to be a jack of all trades, right? So would you advise them to rather niche down?
100%.
Okay, let's talk about what ScriptUni does in terms of generative AI, because it's a very interesting field coming from, I'm sure you saw what's coming out of GPT-3 with a chatbot and stuff. Are you at all afraid that generative AI is going to impact not coding per se, but people who want to learn to code?
It's certainly going to impact and is impacting coding per se. I probably spend a third of my day now reviewing code, and my team writes a lot of code, and we're starting to get suggestions on how to better write our loops and stuff like that, which it's for sure saving us a lot of time. And when time is saved, either you have more money to hire more people or you can let people go. So I think there will be less programmers and less of a need as generative AI gets smarter and smarter. But I just want to caveat, this is not a reason to panic. This happens everywhere and has always happened throughout history. The world evolves, and it is right now. And just go with the flow and things are just going to work out.
What is that skill set that I know it's very early days, right? But let's say there is a pivot, okay? And generative AI becomes stronger by a factor of, let's say, 5 or 10. And you are currently in that situation where you're almost finishing your degree and you don't know, you're uncertain about the future. What would your advice be there? What should I be doing?
Let me actually tell you a story.
Cool.
When I was at
Story
Morgan
time.
Stanley, when I was at Morgan Stanley, managing director, he's the head of sales for my trading desk. He called all the analysts and associates into a conference room. And I was on the strat team on the trading desk. And basically what I was doing along with my team is we were replacing the traders. We were looking at what they were doing and we were saying, okay, it's an interesting strategy. Well, we can make it smarter, better, and faster. And we would just code it up. And the traders all had the same reaction. They say, thanks. And then a year later, there would be 2 less traders in the desk.
Yes.
And they were starting to notice. So this managing director called everyone into a conference room with me. And he said, you're probably all a little scared of Mark's team right now. Well, let me tell you something. Your jobs are absolutely going to be made redundant. However,
Wow.
don't panic, because you're not going to be made redundant so long as you evolve. And what you need to do is either get better at your people skills, so we'll move you into a sales role, or learn how to code, and then we'll just move you straight into Mark's team. We're a big company. We have a lot of revenue. We need a lot of people, and we're certainly going to keep you on if you're a good employee. And I thought that was really smart.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people panic too early. I don't think generative AI is going to make that big of an impact for the next 10 or 20 years that people have to not go for computer science. I think if they're excited about coding, they absolutely should go for it. And what happens is people who are very strong in that field learn where the next evolution is for them naturally. It just happens. It's very rare that a skill set just dies instantly as it gets replaced. So programmers will move into more of a QA role, or will be the ones assisting the generative AI. And then eventually they'll phase out, but that will happen over such a long period and so many decades that whoever's in college now will have graduated, will have retired by the time their roles are completely redundant.
That word soft skills, or those words, they tend to come up quite a lot because it's sort of the last thing that people learn, or they not necessarily learn, but they think it's important, right? How important are soft skills in this current work environment, especially with some stuff like work from home?
It's interesting because soft skills are the most important skills probably in any role, but I can tell you for sure in finance. Yet when I help my clients put together competitive or compelling resumes and cover letters, we keep soft skills completely off. Because it's nonsense to brag about your personality and how well you get along with, like, what kind of nonsense is that? They're supposed to just read the paper and be like, oh yeah, I can tell this person has a great personality. No. But when you get to the job and you're sitting on the desk and you're coding and you're being selfish, not reviewing other people's codes, you're never going to get promoted and you'll be the first to be fired. It won't matter what a good programmer you are. In career management, having amazing soft skills is so important.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of people that were amazing at their job and just didn't know how to play the game, how to get those promotions. They called, yeah, I'm not an ass kisser, but I'm like, yeah, but you need to look at it differently.
Yeah, I mean, you could take the strategic approach and know who to play nice to, or you could just be a really nice person. That'll generally work as well. But being super friendly is great. One thing I always advise the interns on the trading desk when I was at Morgan Stanley was, when everyone's going out and grabbing coffee, 2 p.m., don't take that as a time to prove how committed you are to your work and stay at the desk and pore over your work or your code or your trades. No, you should go out and get coffee with people. You're not going to look sloppy. You're going to look like someone who's social and somebody who wants to be invested and committed to the team.
Just to summarize, so keep those social soft skills off of your resume, but absolutely bring them with you into the work environment from day one.
Yeah, and develop them.
And development. Cool. Yeah, little birdie told me that you wrote a book, or was busy writing a book. You want to tell me a bit about it?
Little birdie didn't tell you that I wrote 2 books.
Oh,
So
2 books.
yeah, not a lot of people know this. So ever since I started career coaching, it's really bothered me, and working in major investment banks, it's bothered me that resumes are written completely wrong. They're all written from the perspective of the applicant and not the hiring team. And that makes them just very bad marketing tools.
That's an interesting perspective. I've not thought about that way around. Okay, continue. You got my
Yeah,
attention.
yes, everyone just writes, what have I done? What have I done? They're very rarely thinking, what does the hiring manager want to see? And because people have such vast skill sets, and they really do, even people who think they don't, generally, if you just keep that in mind when you write your resume, it'll look way, way better. And this is just not the way. The career counselors in universities, they're all helping students write resumes incorrectly, I believe.
Okay.
And it really bothered me when I was working in banking. So I started writing a book back in 2015, and I finished it in 2019. It took me years to write, and I was about to publish it, and it occurred to me, you know what? I don't have a big enough following. I'm not known as an author, and I'm not strong enough in the world of finance that people are going to buy into this.
Yes.
So I think I'm going to write a book on finance first. So I put that PDF away, and I started writing a book on sales and trading. And that's what I'm going to be releasing in a few short weeks.
What is, so guys, a book about sales and trading, right, to establish the second book. Am I right?
That was the original plan, but I got really invested in it, and it's such a cool book. So just to quickly run through it, it's a handbook. It'll fit in your pocket. You could probably get through the book in 3 hours, and yet it makes zero assumptions about knowledge. The very first definition in the book is, what is an asset? By the end of the book, I'm going through how to price options, different regulators. It sounds like a 500-page, super heavy textbook, but it's this little handbook that fits in your pocket. I don't know. I mean, I know how I did it, but it's really cool, just the progression in the book of knowledge. And for fun, I threw in a chapter at the end, how to land a role in sales and trading. So kind of after you learn all that stuff, if you're interested, you could pick that up as well.
So the ultimate little stocking stuffer, I guess.
That's right.
Any plans to release the second book?
There are certainly plans. So right now, my website, markross.com, which is primarily coaching, is going to be redesigned as a career hub for students interested in roles in finance. And the first phase of that is a resume course and a resume book. So I'm already working on the course, and once that's done, I'm just going to release the book along with the course, probably 5 or 6 months. So that's coming.
Cool. Before I let you leave, I want to touch on something you said. I didn't feel like I had a big enough following. And I'm talking to people on a weekly basis, and it's something that's coming up more and more. To grow from an organic base, to grow from a zero base organically, it's nearly impossible. You can open a new account. It's going to take you a couple of years to amass that following. How did you sort of go about building your base? Because I know there was a point where you just exponentially skyrocketed.
Yeah. So I think what I do differently than most people, and I don't think I'm the best, and I don't think I know the algorithm perfectly, but what I did is when I realized that I was growing on LinkedIn, and I also realized that I have a very niche audience. So if you look at my amount of followers, I have friends who have 3 or 4 times as many followers as I do, but I get more engagement because I'm speaking to everyone in my audience. And what I did is I realized I wanted to talk about careers in finance. Okay. So as crazy as this sounds, I went to the network tab on LinkedIn, and I just started connecting with people who I thought would be interested in my content, which was pretty much everyone, because since I was only talking to people and only connected to people in finance, everyone that was showing up was in finance. I was just hitting connect a bunch of times. I did that until I hit roughly 1,000 or 2,000 connections, and then I just stopped. And from there, the growth was completely organic because I kept my topics just to careers in finance. I didn't jump all over the place. I didn't throw memes up online or try to put these solve for X puzzles. That that would just irritate people. I just focused on what they were interested in.
So absolutely building with purpose.
Exactly.
Interesting. Mark, thank you so much for joining me today. If the listeners want to go and connect with you and find out more about ScriptUni and your upcoming book, where can they do that?
either markross.com or they can check out my LinkedIn channel.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Ross. To our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. And we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.